Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. They're not sustainable. What would you do to make them sustainable, assuming that you want to continue them?
A great question, and one of them, Paul, first I have to ask, the press secretary for Gary Peters, Hiram? Is it, what's his name? You want to answer? I think it's Hi. Does anyone know the press secretary?
Yes.
No, that's Obama. No, Hi, I think it's Sephram. I think his last name is Sephram. Nice guy. He's the press secretary for Gary Peters. He sent out a press release not a long time ago, probably about 2-3 months ago. Thank you, by the way, for joining us. 2-3 months ago, about Gary being proud of supporting an increase in the allotment that we pay legal immigrants that come through the Refugee Assistance Program. I believe their allotment was doubled from $900 a month to $1,800 a month. That is big money. It's more than most unemployed individuals get on unemployment. So number one, I would stop the Refugee Assistance Program. Except for the Chaldean community, because in that community, like Colin Powell said, and I hate to quote Colin Powell, but I will on this one, if you break it, you own it. We created the dilemma with the Chaldean community in Iraq, so we own that issue. But we did not break Somalia. We did not break Tunisia. We did not break the Albanian problem in Kosovo, or the Bosnian, Herzegovinian, Kosovan, and Serbian problem. And a lot of these individuals, I'm not against legal immigration. When my parents came to the United States, they came under the program called sponsorship. You had a sponsor. How many, by the way, are immigrants in this? Do you know?
I've got my father.
So you know what I'm talking about when I say the sponsorship program? My parents came to the United States under the sponsorship program. And if you were sponsored, you were like a godfather, so to speak. If something happened to your parents, you were responsible for those children. Well, under the sponsorship program, if something happened, you were responsible for helping these people. It was individual helping individual, not government coming in and helping individuals and groups. I wish I would have brought it, but the most recent Department of Naturalization immigration booklets, they come in, by the way, 83 different languages. Number one, if you make English the national language of the United States, you don't have to spend money, federal money, printing all those different languages and all those different books. Number two, the Refugee Assistance Program, the amount of money that we spend on picking up the Refugee Assistance Program and paying for these individuals, instead of, for example, the Somalia case, which I'm very familiar with, instead of having them fight for a better country for themselves and creating a better Somalia, a government-oriented Somalia, and fighting for their freedom, what do? We take them out, declare, forget it, let Al-Shabaab control Somalia, and we bring them to the United States and France. I'm not sure who was mentioning about France or Europe. I think it may have been you, sir. But large Somali population in France and Djiboutian population in France.
Because they're not integrated in the country. You're going to ship 12 million.
They are not, but they're being brought in.
Like Tom Tancredo wants. It's
Well,
possible, but
but the point is that we need to stop the Refugee Assistance Program.
How much of that is the $13 trillion that we owe?
Right now, on a year-to-year basis, we're talking about this year being about 1.6, 1.5 trillion of deficit. So we need to deal with first that deficit so we can bring it down. So when we future forecast money, we can pay down that debt. I believe the debt will have to be paid down slowly. Because if you do it too quickly, there's no way to do it quickly. You have to do it slowly, and you have to do it methodically with, number one, growth, economic growth, and number two, by creating strength within the dollar, and number three, by slowly paying it down. Once you pay it down, it's like a credit card. It's exactly like a credit card, because compounded interest will kill you, and that's what's happening to us. So if you slowly start paying off the principal, and you take over not just the interest, but the principal, you start paying it down. But, so we have to talk about...
How are we going to do that?
Well, number one, you cut out USAID. You cut out all nation building in the military. If you're not fighting a war and you're not committed to victory in a mission statement of your soldiers, you bring them home. You don't spend money nation building. You eliminate USAID, and foreign programs like PEPFAR that are a farce, that do not work. Then you require each department in the United States government to cut 10% out of their budget. I truly believe that you can find 10% in every single budget of every single department. Furthermore, are you listening to this, Gary? I believe that education is a state's rights.
Amen.
And I would push really hard to eliminate the Department of Education at the federal level. It should be coming back to the states. It needs to go back to the states. How many of you, and if I may just take one moment to step aside, because so far I'm adding a lot of money onto paying off the deficit. But how many of you remember about 3 months ago the debate about textbooks? School textbooks? And what state did they go to? Texas. Do you know why they went to Texas? Because Texas buys the most textbooks. They didn't go to Washington to see what the Department of Education says. They went to the state education department in the state of Texas. So what good is the Department of Education? It's not. We need to eliminate bureaucracy in our schools and give more money back to the states. The money should come back to the states or pay down the debt, the deficits, and the debt, and then that money can freely go back to the states for where education really happens, and that's between a teacher and a student in the classroom. In Michigan, I know this is a state issue, we have 512 school districts. We have more bureaucrats and administrators sometimes than I think we have teachers, and that's a problem. So, Department of Education, each department takes 10% cut. Social Security deals with individuals that are U.S. citizens only. And you stop the illegal immigration problem, because the illegal immigration problem actually taxes us as well. You know when Joe Wilson said you lied? He was right. Because we do pay. We do pay. Somebody ends up paying. It's not free money that exists from somewhere. We all pay for uncompensated care, Medicare, Medicaid, or to the hospitals, uncompensated care to the hospitals. So right there is a great start of eliminating the deficit and starting to make payments on the principal. If you accumulate that, you've pretty much got enough to cut the deficit.
How about the Department